What's up, digital marketing agencies? On today's video, I want to talk a little bit about scale and the key, systems and communication processes you want to put in place to really grow your digital marketing agency. And I want to talk a little bit about how EOS and level 10 meetings saved our agency. And so if that sounds good, you're going to want to watch this video. If you've ever been in your agency and you're just kind of stuck and you're like, man, we're landing clients and we're growing the business and there's so many balls in the air and there's so much to do and you just feel super overwhelmed. That's like, man, I can't keep up with it. And maybe you've even hired a team, like you've hired a web designer and you've hired a pay-per-click person. You've got all of these people, but it just doesn't feel like you're getting momentum and consistent flow in your business. I want to tell you, I've been there. And actually in our agency, we got to kind of like the $2 million mark in our business. We had lots of clients. We were doing good work. Like we were really delivering great results for our clients. But me and my business partner, Dean, started to get bottlenecked and we started to just kind of trip over ourselves. And what we recognized is that we had developed a team of workers within the business. We hadn't developed a leadership team. We hadn't developed a team that could take ideas, take initiatives, and run with them. And somewhere around that time, we read the book Traction by Gino Wickman, where he outlines the concept of EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System. If you run EOS in your agency today, type EOS in the comments here. I'd love to know that you're doing this already. And as I read the book, I was like, this makes a lot of sense, right? And it talks about all of the different things you need to do to get traction within your business. You've got to have clear vision. You've got to have the data, the scorecards, and the metrics. You've got to have your processes documented, like here's how we do the different things within the business. And then to really get traction, you've got to have rocks on a quarterly basis, and you've got to have a great meeting rhythm. A great meeting rhythm within your organization and within your team. You've got to have an issues list, and you've got to have the right people, right? The right people in the right seats. And what we found was me and my business partner Dean were really busy working, right? We were leading the business, but we were also actively involved in either the marketing or the execution or the client relationship management. And we didn't have time to meet with the team. It was like, hey guys, figure it out, right? Send me a message if you need something, but do it on your own. And we recognized the team really didn't have a great place to plug in, to get our attention, to get guidance, to get support. And this whole idea of level 10 meetings is, in a level 10 meeting, you meet once a week with the key leaders within your business. And it's a 90-minute meeting that covers the key things. And I'll kind of walk you through the agenda. Of course, it's covered in the book Traction, but the whole concept of having that meeting on a consistent basis and elevating leaders within our business was a game changer. Because what it meant was, instead of me and Dean chasing our tails as high quick start Colbys, very low follow through, we were able to start to raise up the leaders within the organization in the key departments. We were able to get those leaders that were much higher follow through than us to develop the systems and the processes and to make strategic decisions within the business. We were really able to get what we were after, which was to make more money, which is what we all want in our agencies, to have more freedom and flexibility to do the things that we want to do without having to be tethered to being in the business, doing all of the work every day, and ultimately a bigger impact because our clients got better results, because our team was able to elevate and develop new skills and to kind of move their careers to the next level. And so I want to talk a little bit about this EOS process and how these meetings go. And here's a picture of me at one of our quarterly team meetings doing EOS with our implementer, Caesar. But really the agenda for EOS is a very simple agenda, but the power is that it happens every week. And the leadership team knows it's going to happen, and they can bring the things to the table, they can bring the issues, they can bring the ideas, and you can be in a constant state of momentum. And so it's a 90-minute meeting. It should start and end on time. It should be at the same time every single week. And it starts with a segue, which is usually positive. Everyone goes around the horn and says something positive either in the business or in their life, and that helps everyone feel connected. It helps everyone get to know each other within the team and kind of develop those personal relationships. Then it goes into scorecard. you should have a key data point or two for every single department within the business. Every department in the business should have a key leader. And so the scorecard is just looking at, within PPC, how are our metrics? Within marketing, how are our metrics? Within SEO, how are our metrics? And you go around the horn, and every leader shares their scorecard, and either they're on track or they're off track, right? And if they're on track, hey, high fives. If they're off track, it becomes an issue that we can quickly recognize and we can start to focus on later in the meeting. From there, we do ROC review. So part of the EOS process is, on an annual basis, you build an annual plan. On a quarterly basis, you build a quarterly plan, you set new targets, and there's ROCs, the most important things you want to get done that quarter within the business. And so the third item on the agenda is, how are we doing against those ROCs? Are we on track or are we off track? If we're on track, great, keep pressing forward. If we're off track, we can move that to the issues list and make sure that we can continue to get momentum in that particular area. The fourth item on the agenda is customer and employee headlines. So this is just an opportunity to shout out team members doing a great job, call out team members maybe on the leadership team or outside that might be falling behind, or any employee headlines. Hey, or any client headlines. Maybe a client had a big win, or maybe there's a client that's extra frustrated. This is an opportunity for everybody on the leadership team to be aware of what's going on. From there, we look at the to-do list. This is probably the most important aspect of getting traction, is that yes, you're having these monthly meetings, yes, you're developing and having everybody on the same page, but ideally after every meeting, there's to-dos. There's actions to be complete, and that's where traction comes, when you get a to-do and something actually gets done. And so during this time, we look at last week's to-do list. What were the things we said were gonna get done, and who was responsible, and did those get done? Right? If they got done, fantastic. If they didn't, again, that goes down to the IDS list, the issues list, where we can discuss it. So real quick, and again, each one of these should only take 5 minutes, so this meeting moves relatively quickly. And then the last thing on the agenda is IDS, which is identify, discuss, and solve, right? And usually what happens if you're not doing this in your agency and you've got a team of any sort, there's issues happening all throughout the week. Almost every single day. Hey, this isn't working right. Hey, this is broken. Hey, this client's upset. But there's never a place to discuss those issues and get them solved, unless you're just constantly doing got-a-minute meetings, which means somebody comes into your office or sends you a Slack and says, hey, you got a minute. You're like, okay, I guess we should stop and just jump into this. And if you're in that got-a-minute meeting mentality within your business, it's almost like chaos. Just constantly trying to put out fires, constantly chasing your tail, never able to focus and get things done. So the beauty of this IDS portion is, every week there's a time and place where the team can bring their issues and you can prioritize. Okay, out of the 7 issues that we've got right now, what are the most important? What are the top 3? Let's get into those. And you've got a full hour every week to say, okay, what's the issue? Let's discuss it as a leadership team and let's solve. Let's figure out what's the solve. How do we fix that? Who's going to take the ball and run with it? What's the next step? And I promise you, when you start to do this on a consistent basis, things get solved, things move forward, and you start to get some great traction within your business. Now, the last thing you want to do is conclude, and it's really important. Again, sometimes we want to make these meetings longer, sometimes we want to make them shorter, but the meeting should run according to this agenda. It should last no more than 90 minutes. And at the end, you want to conclude. And that conclusion, you're going to recap the to-dos. Okay, so for this week, what are the main things we need to get done? And then you rate the meeting. And you ask everybody in the leadership team to say, hey, how would you rate this on a scale from 1 to 10? And it's really important that that rating be not based on how good the conversation was, but did we effectively do the intended level 10 process? Like, did we get through our agenda? Did we actually identify issues? Did we all participate? And that's where that 1 out of 10 rating comes from. And if your whole team is on board and they're plugged into this process, you can get great feedback from that conclusion. And so this is just a high-level overview. Of course, this is explained in depth in Traction, the book, but I want to share specifically within our agency kind of how we do this. It's had a major impact on our ability to deliver world-class results without being personally tethered to everything that we do within the business. And so I highly recommend the implementation of EOS in your digital marketing agency to get better at what you do, to improve your operations, to become more profitable, and to create that freedom that we all crave within our own digital marketing agencies. I'd love to know, let me know in the comments if this was helpful, if you got 1 or 2 takeaways. Give me a like. Type some of your takeaways in the comments. If you have follow-up questions, post them as well. I've got a specific training on how to scale your agency where I really talk about the key things you want to do, the key positions you want to hire for to scale the business. And so if that sounds good for you and you want to check that out, you can go to sevenfigureagency.com/scale. That's sevenfigureagency.com/scale. And I'm really excited to hear about how you're implementing EOS, how you're leveraging level 10 meetings. Be sure to hit the like button, subscribe button, share this with another agency that can benefit, and I look forward to seeing you on a future video. I'll talk to you soon.